everybody, I'm Charlotte and this is The Daily. We talk all things skincare, fashion, fitness, and nutrition for women over 40. Today I have got a color your hair with me kind of a video. So I'm definitely keeping it real here today. This is exactly what I'm going to do. I just have it all on this table instead of in my little in-home salon. So I don't have any gloves today, and typically I do. I absolutely recommend gloves. Gloves are going to protect your hands from the harsh chemicals, and I have had plenty of bleach burns and it's not fun. So I'm going to be extra careful today, and just know that I usually wear gloves, and I got all my stuff ready here and realized that I had to get gloves, and I just need my hair done. So you will see I have to color about every 4 to 5 weeks, and then the back I kind of let go until I can finally get to it. So as you can see, I have a lot of gray on my temples. It's almost platinum, and I can cover a lot of that with eyeshadow, like in between, if I can't get around to, coloring. I actually waited a little bit longer this time just because I wanted to get on here and show you how I do both my highlights and my color, like my root coverage. And so I'm gonna do that today. I'm super excited. Maybe these things that I'm showing you today will be like just add-ons. You might pick one thing up from this video. Now, I'm a licensed professional, so I kind of know what I'm doing when it comes to hair. And I'm gonna try my best to kind of go along and give you the tips and tricks, how to give advice to ensure that you don't do something crazy to your hair, okay? Because you can. Bleach is harsh. It's really, really harsh. When you use heat, when you color your hair, highlight your hair, bleach your hair, you're out in the sun, those kinds of things, it depletes your hair of protein, which causes breakage, and essentially, you end up with hair that is frazzled and fried and such. To hang on to the protein, you want to use coconut oil ahead of time, even before and after showers if you can, or if you know you're gonna be coloring your hair, just go ahead and douse it a couple of nights before. And I emulsify it into my hands and take it from like the mid shaft of my hair down to the ends, because that's going to help with the protein loss. You want that oil to kind of be a barrier, essentially. And try not to wash your hair before you bleach. And you don't want any wax on your hair at all if you are coloring your hair, because the color, especially if you're doing gray coverage, will not penetrate your hair. If you have any wax-like products, I've shown you the little wax stick that help keep the little strays, the little wild, wiry grays down. So that wax stick is something that you wouldn't want to put on before you color your hair. So I purposely haven't used that wax stick since I washed my hair last, and I washed my hair maybe 4 days ago. And so I feel like my hair is just greasy enough to get going on this. And like I said, it's gonna seem a little oily because I have the coconut oil in, but typically my hair is pretty dry. So just remember, coconut oil, really, really a great, inexpensive product to use for hair growth. Okay, so what I have here, so pretend I have gloves. That's the first thing you need. I'm touching up my grays. So I want to show you my grays before we get going, just so you have an idea of what I'm working with here. This is all gray through here, mostly here on my temples. You see all that gray? So it's pretty like white, like right here, but it's not evenly white. I don't have any intentions in letting my grays grow out. I just happen to love my hair being colored. I'm gonna show you what I'm using today and kind of give you just a little bit of information without going through color school, right? I'm a Redken girl, but you can get things that are really good at Sally's. Sally's has some really good product. Wella is at Sally's, and they can maybe help you to figure out your color there. So what you do have to do is make sure you know what your natural base color is. You have to know what your natural base color is to get started with color, because that's gonna help you decide on what color you want, because there's all these undertones. And make sure you know on a scale from 1 to 10, 1 being black and 10 being white, what your hair color is. My natural level is a level 6, but to be honest with you, with this blonde hair, I don't like to take it to a level 6. I actually like it to be bumped up a couple of shades. Okay, so I want my base color to be more like at a 7 or an 8, but be careful if you have a lot of color still left in your hair. That's why I'm using some shades that will kind of negate any of those undertones, okay? Now, I'm not trying to get too crazy technical here, but I think some of these things are important just so you have an idea of why it's so important to know what your natural color is. So my natural color is a 6. The colors I'm using are by Redken. I'm using 7s and 8s, okay? So I'm mixing them. So the 7N is what I'm gonna be using today. I'm using half of this and then a quarter each of 8GB, which is a gold beige. And then I'm gonna be using 8AB, which is going to counteract any of the orange brassy tones. Now, gold beige seems a little bit like an oxymoron because gold beige, but it's such a beautiful tone that I really enjoy using this. I do think that it warms things up just enough, and then this counteracts any of the orangey or golden tones that I don't like. Okay, so this is the 20 volume I'm using. This is by Redken too, but they have bleach and developer at Sally's that'll work just fine. Developer. I'm using Blonde Dimensions. This is by Redken as well. I'm gonna be using 20 volume developer as well on that. 2 color brushes right here. I'm probably going to be using this comb right here. This one does bend quite a bit. I sometimes prefer this because you can actually get down into that parting and you can kind of bend that foil down in there. It just depends on your preference, but I'm probably using this today. Pre-cut foils, you just pull them out and use them as you need them. Costco has foils. I like to use them for color. I just tear them in half and it works out really well, and it's not, you know, quite as pricey as like this, and you get so many. So depending on how much hair you do at home. Claw clips, these clips, okay? I also have a scale. You do not have to have a scale if you don't want a scale. I just want to be kind of precise because I have all of this. 2 parts of the one and then 1 part of each of the other. So even if you have, just get a little container and do it that way. You can do that too. So I did forget to tell you that you're gonna need a couple of towels. You're gonna need a darker towel for the color and a lighter towel for the bleach, because you wanna keep things nice and clean. Now I'm gonna be glancing over to the side here and over to the side here because my camera's kind of far and I can't really see what I'm doing. So I have to kind of do that, but I'll let you guys know what I'm doing as I'm doing it. I'm gonna be doing the lightener and the color at almost the same time. So you're gonna do everything together and you don't have to do it in 2 steps this way. So this is just the quick and easy way to do hair at home and just be nice and clean with this, okay? And you don't want to highlight over previously highlighted hair. So just remember, try the best that you can to only tap the regrowth so that you don't break your hair off, okay? So I'm using 20 volume for both color and lightener, okay? When you're doing bleach, you want the piece to be very, very thin. You want to be able to almost see through the piece. This is kind of an important step. I'm going to go ahead and weave through my hair just to pick up what I have lightened previously, and I'm going to go ahead and get started. But this is how thin the piece is. You can kind of see through it. Do you see what I mean? This hair should be completely white. And if it's not, then you either don't have enough bleach on it, or you don't have enough lightener on it, or you have too big of a section, okay? So I've gone ahead and dipped, and I'm gonna go ahead and start. Keep in mind that I'm gonna be as nice and clean as possible. I've got the lightener on there. You're gonna take the foil, heat it up here. Another thing, you do not want to paint the lightener all the way to the scalp. Just remember that, because lightener expands and you will end up with tiger stripe. It's a bleeding of the bleach. So you don't, that's not a cute look. You don't want that at all. Don't paint it all the way to the part. You don't want it to touch your scalp or anything like that. Then I do my color every 4 to 6 weeks, 4 to 5 weeks, my gray coverage. I do not do my bleach every 4 to 6 weeks. I actually go 3 months maybe before I do highlights again. So just remember that my highlights are pretty outgrown right now, so you will see quite a bit of painting going on. Do you see how I did that? This is to lighten your hair for spring and summer, and that is what we're going to be doing. Do you see the piece? It's not very thick at all. I just want you to see. And I bend it around the comb. If you're watching this video, chances are you probably already have done your hair before. And hopefully you kind of know maybe the basics already and are just on here to see if there's anything else that you can learn, you know, kind of on your do-it-at-home hair journey, okay? And so this is what I'm trying to show you. I have bleach on the bottom of those ends. I pull those ends out, I don't want to repaint those ends. Foil, just like that. And then you're going to be really careful not to pull that foil down. Hold it in place as you're folding. Fold on the side. This will help the foil to stay in place. You don't want that foil to move, okay? You don't need a ton of foils to brighten yourself up for spring and summer. Start with a few, and you can always go back in and do more. Actually have some dimension in my hair, so I want some of the darker color to stay. So I'm gonna go ahead and do one more here. I'm taking one small section before I start the highlighting, and I make sure that it is as straight as possible. Now this is what I do not want to color. So I'm gonna pull that hair over, I'm gonna clip it, and I'm going to grab one more section, just like this. And I don't know about you all, but if you are, beginning to, if you're starting to see gray, how many of you have the wiry textured gray that just seems to kind of break and stand up, and it's unruly? It's that kind of hair that's a different texture, and it doesn't do what the rest of it does. It kind of just stands up. I want to know how many of you have that same type of, how many of you have the same kind of gray growing in? Some gray is very vellus. Vellus means very, very soft. But this gray here is very wiry, definitely a different texture than the rest of my hair. Just know that that's that. I almost feel like when I color it, it behaves a little better. I almost feel like when I put some color on it, it does behave a little bit better. So now I'm going to show you something. This is a hairline that kind of moves back and then comes forward. So what you want to do is you want to find that hairline and tuck the rest away. And then what I do is I just weave through it just like this. Hope you can see it. And then I grab that and let the rest fall. You just take your comb and bounce it. Now, if you are not very seasoned in hair, just get a really, really thin piece and slice it. And that's just, like a comb parting. But very, very thin, especially around the hairline. And make sure you let the hair around the temple fall out. Make sure there's a little bit of hair that comes down before you pull the hair out to bleach, because then it's a little more forgiving, okay? The bounce is just kind of weaving in and out like this. If you're doing a slice, make sure it's super thin around your hairline. And also make sure you are leaving the hair out and then taking the hair behind to color, okay? To lighten, okay? It's important. I'm gonna take this down, and you can see it's 1, 2, 3, 4 foils so far. Now, this is where I typically part, somewhere around here, okay? So I wanted to clear that, so I wanted to go further. I'm gonna go ahead and make sure that this is really thin, but to begin with, I'm gonna take a little parting. I don't want it back to back. You want it to be kind of like it's naturally highlighted. So no back to backs, blended highlights. So that means that if you have a foil, bring hair down, and then you're gonna weave out from the next piece. Okay, so I want you to see how thin this is. This is super thin, and you still have some on top of the foil, okay? We're going to bounce. And the reason why you bounce is so that it's blended, if you like blended highlights. So there it is. That's how thin the piece is. So let me just show you here. And be careful not to go off the foil. So you see it here, see how I don't touch the actual root? Because it expands. So I'm gonna take this out this way, flatten it out, and fold it. You don't want it to slide, okay? You want it to stay really close. If you pull on it too much, it'll actually slide down and it won't process evenly, okay? Because we are coloring the roots as well, you don't have to be exactly precise. You want to be as precise as possible, but don't think it has to be perfect. That's all I'm saying, because there's a little bit of room for error with this method, and that's what I'm trying to show you today, okay? And then we're going to bounce out of this. So we already have a thin piece. I'm going to pick up the pieces that I can see that have been previously highlighted, okay? You've got this thin piece of hair here. Do you see all this grow out here? Just so you know. Okay, so then I take another, let me just tell you one thing. This is not easy to do my hair and film. I look like I'm tying myself in a pretzel because I feel like I am. Oh, you always want to check underneath to make sure you don't have any extra bleach or any bleeding through there, okay? Because any bleach that lays on your part is going to bleed out, okay? Now I'm gonna go ahead and speed up the process on the other side, and I'll show you what I'm gonna do next. Hang on. And I'm not taking the front of it to highlight, I'm taking the inside. That way it's a little more forgiving. I'm bouncing, but again, if you want to slice, just slice the thinnest piece and make sure it's behind the hairline. And then I'm going to, right up top, hold it. And make sure you don't press it too hard when you're holding it, because you don't want to squeeze the lightener out, okay? So that's how it looks, just like that. So I will take them all down just to show you. But now what you want to do is you want to make sure all of these little tails are hanging down. I already have my color mixed up here. Make sure it's really stirred well. Make sure you get most of the excess off. And then I'm going to paint just like this. And I don't mind painting on my face. To me, it's worth it to get all of those grays, and grays start to grow out halfway on your face. So before you do this, you can definitely put some Vaseline or some barrier, and that's what they would suggest doing for safety. I'm just telling you that I don't do that because I want to get every bit of hair, and if you go and put barrier cream on, you may make it to where it won't penetrate, you know, so that's definitely always something to consider, okay? And what I'm doing with these foils is I'm folding them back slightly. Don't put a lot of pressure on them, but you want to get to the hair, okay? So I'm going to go ahead and start here. Just like that. Get all of those pesky grays. And to me, this is a quicker way of doing it. If you want to do it in two sections, like at two different times, like do your roots and then the highlights, that's fine too. But for me, this is what I'm doing today just because I'm saving time. And I'm showing you an easy way to do this all in one process, okay? So I'm making sure that I get all of those little hairs, okay? And then what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna drop those foils down just like this. Try not to get it all over my new shirt. And I'm not gonna be crazy meticulous here. I just get down to the root of it, just like this. It's almost like a shadow effect, to be honest. And the hair, the color that I'm going with is a shade or two lighter than my own. So it's not gonna be a really dark shade anyway. But do you see what I'm doing? Just going along I actually like to hit the back too right here. I can see it and feel it. So I like to hit that just right there where I can actually do it. And then even where you bleached, like in the foils, make sure that I'm gonna show you something. Make sure that you really hit that foil underneath, okay? You wanna hit that foil with the color. Okay? And then I'm going to continue, but be careful of those little tails. You do not want to color the bottoms of those tails. That'd give you a whole nother look that we're not going for. And with box colors, you're just not going to get as precise of a color as you would if you mixed your own colors. So you're just going to get what the color, what the color can give. So remember, if you are one that has undertones and you go pick a box color going off of what you see on the package, that is just a woman on the package. They have no idea what color your hair is to start with. So please, please, no. See, I'm going back a little further. You don't have to do this, but I have gray right here and I can reach. So I'm going back. And if you want to, skip that section, or you don't need to do that, you don't have to do that either. And then I'm just gonna go, I don't have any foils here, so this is just an easy, breezy cover my roots. But yeah, don't go by the box, because if you don't know what your natural color is, you might end up with orange hair. I'm just saying, if you're doing highlights and you have really dark hair, there's colors that you need to add or negate in order to get that, that desired look. So I'm getting all of this. This is where all of that really gray kind of hair is, right there. Okay, so I wipe. And then I take these down. These little things, you don't want to get those. So be really, really careful of where they are sitting while you're doing this. I'm just going to kind of lightly hit those spots again. A little bit of gray going on. It goes to the back. The gray from the top definitely goes down my part, and I want to make sure I cover that area as well. Okay, so I'm all done. I want to let you know that I did wash my hair with purple shampoo. So you see that there's still some dimension in there. When you bounce like that, you still get some of that dimension, which I really, really like. And remember, if you are going from a natural brown or something like that, if you have natural hair, you're going to want to paint that highlight color down the entire hair strand, okay? So you want to go ahead and paint the entire piece and wrap that in the foil. Thank you so much for watching today. I hope you got some value out of this video. If you did, go ahead and give it a thumbs up so that I know that you enjoy these types of videos, and it does really go a long way with supporting my channel. Until next time, God bless you.